Hi and welcome to Slick Willy Fly, and today we're making a bonus video. Happy birthday to all my devil dog brothers and sisters, and if you know, you know. So for this particular bonus video, I really wanted to make something that is just an absolute classic, something that's been around forever, an absolute proven fish assassin, Lefty's Deceiver. And because it's such a special occasion, we broke out the Macallan's 18. Okay, so for my version of a Lefty's, this Deceiver fly for me is something that I'm going to walk the beach. Most of the time that's when I'm throwing this fly, but this fly has caught fish, freshwater, saltwater, all over the planet. This is arguably one of the most tied flies, I would say. So for materials, I got some rooster Hackle feathers in the back. I got 4 in this fly, and then I got a couple of Grizzly Hackle feathers also, just to give it a little color. Then I used a little bit of flat braid. I got this silver flat braid that I'm going to put on the hook shank, and then I just have a few clumps of bucktail. I have white and I have yellow on this one. I might do the exact same pattern. I might go to, I have olive bucktail. Might do the olive, not sure. And then I have a little bit of Krystal flash. I'm using 2 types of Krystal flash. I have this pearl Krystal flash, and then I have silver. And I'll probably do the exact same thing, pearl and silver. So I say we change the camera angle. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe. This is a very, very easy fly. It takes a few minutes, especially to make the UV resin head. But super simple fly and an absolute fish catching fly. So again, don't forget to hit like, subscribe. Hope you're enjoying something nice, especially on this occasion. And let's tie a fly. All right, let's go ahead and change this out. For a hook, I guess I didn't talk about this. I'm using B10S Stinger in size 2, or yeah, it looks like a 2. Pretty sure that's a 2. Might be a 4. I don't have the package out right now. Pretty sure that's a size 2, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm going for is I'm going for a little bit of a smaller Deceiver, and I guess the best way I could show you is against my hand. You can see it's not really that big a fly. Perfect for walking the beach. For thread, I'm going to use 2 threads. I'm going to use a little bit of monofilament thread to start, and then I'm going to switch to I'm going to use a little bit of monofilament thread to start the fly, and then I'll probably at some point switch over to a white thread. I put a little bit of super glue down just because I really don't want the materials to be moving around once we decide where we want them. So we're going to give that a second to set up. I want to get a decent base down. Tying with monofilament thread does take a little bit of getting used to. The monofilament thread is a little bit more difficult to work with than traditional tying threads. They're a little bit slippery, and you really got to make sure that you get your materials locked in nicely. So I've got this white cock hackle. I'm just going to pluck out 4 feathers. Now I'm going to separate a couple of pairs, and I really don't want this fly to be extremely long. So feathers all have a natural curve to them, and I'm going to place them so that they curve away from each other. I want the tips to be somewhat close in length, and now I'm going to determine my length with these feathers. Couple of loose wraps, making sure I like where these feathers end up. And I think that length is okay. You know, when you have the loose wraps, it's very easy to just adjust the feathers however you need to adjust them. And a tip that I'm going to give you is I put a bunch of loose wraps in. Once I like where they end up, they're going to get a whole handful of loose wraps before I start cranking down these feathers. And then I do use the rest of the feather to help give myself a little bit of size in the body of the shank. And now I could trim off these tags. So now I'm going to do the same on the opposite side. And what makes this side a little bit easier is that now I have the length established. So I'm just really going to match the length that I have. I usually put them on a hair long so that I can draw them in to the exact same length, or nearly the exact same length. That looks great. And now I'm just gonna give this a bunch of loose wraps, not too hard. A little bit farther up. I could trim that off. Just like that. That came out much better, much neater than my first one. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring my thread all the way back to the tie-in point. So now, before I put on the last two feathers, the grizzly feathers, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of the pearl crystal flash. I'm not even going to count. I'm going to grab, I don't know what I just grabbed, 3 or 4, doesn't much matter. 3 or 4 of these crystal flash. They're going to be too long, so I'm just going to go ahead and put them on the thread. I'm going to go ahead and put them right on top, a couple of loose wraps. I'm going to use my thumb just to move them around a little bit. Once I'm happy, and I'm happy, now we just lock those in. And I don't like for the crystal flash to be longer than the feathers. A lot of people do. That's not really my thing. I want it to be just a hair shorter than the hackle feathers. Perfect, beautiful. So now it's a grizzly feather. Doesn't really matter which side I do first. Again, I don't want them longer than the white hackle feather. Couple of loose wraps, making sure that I like where it ended up. Was better before I started wiggling it. Nice. Take off that tag. Same thing on my side. Yeah, you know, it's a shame that these, I love living in Sweden. I'm not gonna say that I don't, but it's days like today when I know that the birthday ball is going on, and I see all my old friends getting together, having little reunions and stuff, and I miss that. I won't lie. I miss the old group and the camaraderie. It's nice, but you know, that's life. I chose to move. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and put on my braid. Just gonna tie it in, and this is a simple, just wrapping up the body. You can use the rotary function, it's just as easy. And it's just touching turns. Probably don't even need this, but just in case, you know, the hook shank should show, just a little something more to just make it a little bit more, you know, fishy. So once you've captured that, trim that off, and I definitely have enough braid left to make another fly, so we'll save that piece, have a sip of my awesome drink. And now I can bring my monofilament back. I would say I'm going to bring it to about the halfway mark, and now it's bucktail. Gotta get a little bit of stuff out of the way. I'm going to go for the white bucktail. I prefer to get from the tips now, because the tips are not as hollow as from the area, the butt area that's closer to the deer itself. And by using the tips, they won't flare out quite as much, and this fly will sink a little bit better. So that's kind of why I like using the tips to make these deceiver flies. I'm going to go ahead and use my little comb here to take out all the shorts. Now we're going to go ahead and make sure that the longs aren't crazy long. Okay, and now my length. I'm going to actually do the bottom first. So for my length, I want my length to be maybe halfway on the tail feathers, and not really much longer than halfway up the hook shank. So right where I'm holding it was about perfect. Now you notice I didn't bother to put it all on both sides of the hook. Gosh, I was having a little brain fart there. Couldn't speak. But what I'm doing is just giving it a couple of loose wraps, and now I'm going to pinch it down with my thumb, and I'm going to kind of work it a little bit on this hook shank. Just a little. And now we're going to go ahead and lock that in. Then I could take a needle and I could take half of this bucktail to the opposite side. Beautiful. And now we're going to do the same thing, and I can use, again, I can use white. I'm going to try my best to always take from the tips here. Again, we're going to pull out all the shorts. And the length is basically the exact same length. I don't want it crazy long. I don't want it longer than my feathers. Something just like that is pretty much perfect. And now we have a decision to make. Are we going to do olive or are we going to do yellow? I think that since I just did a yellow, I think I'm going to do an olive. I need probably a few more olives in my box. So I put it on loosely, and now I'm just using my fingers to work it around the hook shank a little, making sure that I check both sides nicely. And now I can go ahead and get this thing cranked down. Nice. So now I'm going to put one more clump of white on the bottom. oops, this will be my last clump of white. You know, this particular bucktail was really a nice bucktail. You know, when I go to a fly shop, anywhere I am, I always go check out the bucktail. Because bucktail, honestly, it's one of those materials that I just don't like to mail order. You just, there's such differences in quality, and I would much rather look at it, and if I like it, I buy it. It doesn't even matter if I need it or not. Okay, so this clump of bucktail, it's gonna be, you have to think about your taper. So I'm gonna be probably a hair shorter than the bucktail that I've already put on. So I'm gonna trim that up. And now we're gonna go ahead and just like before, I'm not worried about putting this on both sides of the hook. All I'm worried about is a couple of loose wraps now, and I'm going to just work the bucktail around the shank of the hook, just like that, and now I can crank on it. Ooh, I lost a big old chunk there. Good save. This is what I mean about tying with monofilament. That would never happen if you were using a regular wax thread or even just a regular tying thread. Tying with monofilament is awesome because it's transparent, but it does have its negative side as well. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead, that got away from me a little bit. So right now I'm going to trim that up just a little bit. And I think now it's as good a time as any to change my thread. So I'm probably going to go to an olive thread. So I'm going to give this a whip finish. I didn't prep my thread, which was a mistake. I'm going to take a quick pause and come back with olive thread ready. Okay, so we're back. So I've started my olive thread and I have my olive bucktail. Again, we're going to take from the tips. Because again, I want this fly to not be floating. I want it to sink, and taking the less hollow fibers will definitely help in that area. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Before we put that on, we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of silver crystal flash. I got one full length fiber, which I'm going to cut in half. And then we're going to go ahead and put this equally divided on the thread, and we're going to put it right on top. And the reason I wanted to do this crystal flash at this point is because I want the crystal flash to kind of blend into the fly. I want it to be inside the bucktail, if you will. So now it's measuring out my length of bucktail, and I'm going to trim that crystal flash. That looks about right. I don't want it longer than those others. And we're going to do the exact same procedure here. A couple of wraps a couple of loose wraps, maybe one more. And now we're going to make sure that we get the bucktail right where we want it, using our fingers. And once we're happy with that, we can lock it in. So now I've switched to 140 denier ultra in olive. No longer using monofilament thread, and this thread, I absolutely love this thread. It'll lock hard. And that's the fly. Perfect. Came out beautiful. Love it. So whip finish. And you could fish this fly exactly the way you see it. I have caught lots of fish on flies with no eyes, but because this is a birthday video, we need to put some eyes on this thing. I'm gonna fast forward through the eyes because everyone has seen me do eyes, and I could put links to other videos where I've done UV resin eyes. I'm gonna use sticker eyes. They're gonna be yellow. They're gonna be about, I have to pull them out real quick. They're gonna be 5 or 6 millimeter. This is not the same package I had out earlier, but it's the same eyes. I had an open package somewhere, and I have to open this to see the size. These are quarter inch yellow. So all we're gonna do is I'm gonna use a little bit of super glue directly, because I know that yes, they're sticker eyes and they should work great, but I also know that I've had them for a very long time, so they're not gonna work so great. And since I know that, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of super glue down. Kids playing in the neighborhood. I don't know if you could hear that on the video. So we'll use the hook shank as a guide. Try to get it as centered as I can. Now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So pack of eyes is easily over 10 years old, probably over 15 years old. That came out good. Alright. So now, I'm going to give that 30 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said earlier, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through the UV resin portion. Just remember, take your time, do a little bit of resin at a time. You don't need to do a whole bunch. I'm going to start with a little bit of a thicker resin in between the eyes just to lock in everything. And then I go to a thinner resin and I just work my way around the eyes. So there it is. I mean, it really is a simple fly. I think that I stay generally very true to the original Lefties Deceiver. I don't think that the way I tie is very different from the original. I can't say for sure because I go by the way that I was taught. I know that this fly catches a lot of fish. This is a great fly. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a cocktail with me, even though this is not my traditional rum and coke. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Good luck catching, and see you on the next video.